Hello, everyone. Today I thought of sharing with you all the number one reason why we suffer in life. What do you think? The number one reason is our own expectations. I remember a few years back, I had a shift within me that I recognize all my suffering is arising within me, not because of outside. And actually, there was this shift within me. And I remember where I was blaming other people for my suffering or for situations, I started taking responsibility. I started seeing how I create that within me. Remember, spiritual journey is about going within you. It's not about looking at outside and putting blame on the outside. As I've already shared in this channel, that the whole life is a maya, life is an illusion. There's no one outside. How can we put the blame on outside? So this whole journey, spiritual journey, is about looking at yourself, looking within you as what's going on. If you're suffering, it's not because of outside. It's not because of outside person or a situation. It's due to your own expectation. For you to see this, you got to be really honest within yourself. It's very important. Actually, when we put the blame on outside, we become a victim of that. So it's very important that we see within ourselves where this suffering comes within us. Because you create your own suffering. When I recognized that, it really shifted my life. Because I was no longer putting the blame on outside, but taking charge for my own suffering. And that liberated me. Because I can see how all these expectations start creating suffering within my life. So let me take one example for this. So I remember one time, I went to the kitchen and I wanted to drink something. And so there were some cups which were hanged. So I took one of the mug and then I recognized there was some tea left in the mug. And I got so angry. And at that particular moment, I could also recognize, because I remember as a seeker, I was practicing this within myself. I could immediately see my expectation. I had expectation that the mug's supposed to be clean on the rack. Obviously, that's how it's supposed to be. But then again, there was the expectation that I was suffering. And when I saw the expectation, I was like, yeah, obviously, this is a helper, and that's why she works in a kitchen, not in an office. And that's her level, you know. But that doesn't mean for you to be passive and not take any action. And I had to, it's important that you are not being passive. You just share that to the particular person. In my case, I could always talk to the helper and share that how things supposed to be and how it has to be clean. And you remember, spirituality is not about being passive, just observing. No, sometimes you got to take action. Sometimes you got to be active. Some people just think that it's just about observing and not taking any action. That's not true. So even in my case, even though I recognize the expectation, at the same time, it's important to communicate that to the helper. So just like that, so if you can see that the mug's supposed to be clean on the rack, just like these expectations, we are constantly, so many expectations make us suffer during a day. One of your friend comes and tells something which is criticize you, and then you have an expectation, my friend should not talk to me this way. My friend should not criticize me. And we suffer not because of the friend criticizing us, but for our expectation that she is not supposed to criticize. If she compliments you, if she tells good things about you, she will also tell bad things about you, because life is a duality. But we always cling to one extreme, and then we suffer. So if you can recognize these expectations, your life will transform. Let me tell you that. Because you start seeing your suffering within you without putting the blame on other people, which would make a huge difference in your life. Because our tendency is to put the blame on to the outside. And I will take another example because I realize that when I take examples, people understand it much better. So I remember about one more time, just like this, many years back. And back then, I remember I used to meditate on my bed sometimes. And I came to the bed and I was meditating. And I was in my room. I was like in the evening time. And suddenly, like a loud noise came up, which is from the living room next to my room. And there was my dad switched on the TV. And I felt so angry. And at that, I think this is the day that shifted within me, because I realized even though I got angry, my dad didn't even see it. But I was angry while I was meditating. And that really shifted me. Wow, why do I even get angry? And then I could recognize that is because I had an expectation When I'm meditating, no one should disturb me. And due to this expectation, I was suffering. And the best part is my dad didn't even know that I was angry. Oh, I got impacted by this whole, he's switching on the TV. The whole suffering was created within myself. And that shifted me. I realized that everything in life is that I create my own suffering, not the outside world. In fact, the outside world is nothing but shadows showing me where I am. I got to heal within me. And there was quite a shift within me because I no longer put the blame on outside, but I started taking charge of causes for my suffering without putting the blame on outside, which really liberated me. So I suggest you to, like, when you go about in your life, start recognizing these expectations. And those expectations what creates the suffering, not the outside world. Whole years conditioning is to put the blame on outside, whereas it's within us. More you train this, like more you start seeing these expectations within you, you will see that within a second you will start noticing that more you train with it. Because I remember, like, let's say you had a situation and in the late at night, you just reflect and write down in your diary, and then after a few hours, you recognize the expectation. More you start training with this, more you start recognizing this time gap will be reduced to a level which is when a situation happens, you start immediately seeing the expectation. That happened within me. So actually, when I even though I heard this from some spiritual teachers, they really didn't hit me. But one point I remember when I saw that for myself, because that's what matters. It's not about the knowledge, it's about what you experience, When I recognize this for myself, it completely shifted. So remember, train yourself to see the expectation. This is not to be passive in life or even not to have any expectations. It's about like recognizing the expectation and not getting attached to it. You could have expectations, but recognize it and do not get attached to it. And attachment is what creates the suffering. Identification very strongly with this expectation is what creates the suffering. And you could have expectations, of course, and at the same time, this is not just an observation, but at the same time, when you need to step in and take action, you need to do that, not being passive. Just like in my case with the helper, I would always communicate that to the helper so that she would do a better job. But at the same time, what matters is we see how we create the suffering within us, because that can liberate us. Thank you.